Let's bring in the independent MP, David Pocock. Thanks for your time, Senator.
Thank you.
Let's start with this push that you've started with Kylea Tink, the member for North Sydney. You basically, and I was surprised to read that this took place, but insurers discriminating against individuals based on their DNA. So essentially disincentivising people to get DNA tests and to test themselves for conditions.
It's increasingly becoming a problem. A constituent actually raised this with me in my office a while ago. She works with a whole bunch of women who have the breast cancer gene, and they're seeing more and more people not wanting to get a DNA test because it means that their life insurance, they're either uninsurable or their premiums go up. And we've seen this dealt with. Canada recently said you can't do that. You can't discriminate based on DNA. The life insurance industry in Australia has said to the government, we want to be regulated. It's not working our current regulatory framework, but this needs to be the first step of saying, okay, let's take this off the table. This is, for many people, life-saving and life-changing, being able to see the DNA and what what risks they have, and people aren't doing that because of life insurance.
That's crazy, and it shouldn't preclude someone from being able to insure themselves or their family.
Well,
so how do you stop? Is it just the legislation that will prevent insurers?
That's what they've done in Canada, saying, just as we say you can't discriminate based on sex or race, you can't do that based on someone's DNA profile. And it seems to be working in Canada. We're urging the government to do it here. It's too important. We're hearing too many stories about people not getting the test because they're worried about what that means for them and their family when it comes to their life insurance, but potentially even their kids. If life insurance companies know that their kids will have a good chance of carrying that gene, it could currently affect them.
And as you said, you've had constituents, you've had examples of people where it has and continues to have potentially devastating effects.
Yeah, there's more and more evidence. There's been a lot of work done. Obviously, here in Australia, we have an incredible medical research ecosystem, more and more stuff coming out around DNA testing and your predisposition, your risks for certain diseases. Being able to know that, act early, helps people deal with these risks.
Are you getting support? I mentioned Kylea Tink, the member for North Sydney. Have you got others on board with this?
There are a number of politicians from the major parties who are concerned about this. It's about getting them to act. The life insurance industry wants to be regulated, and I think that'll happen. But I think the first step is saying, right, you've got to stop discriminating people.
And so where's the legislative process at? Is this just, you've called for the government to look at this now, and then next step you go to put a bill together? Is that where are things at right now?
We're calling on the government to do this. It's something that medical researchers want. People and families who are affected by certain genes that predispose them to things like breast cancer should be able to tell early on in life, this is my risk and this is what I can actually do to avoid that. And ultimately, when we don't have people focusing on early intervention and testing, we all pay the price for that down the track when they're dealing with the acute stage of these diseases.
Yeah, there's no doubt it makes sense on a whole heap of levels. I also saw this week that you're going to take the argument to the upper house when it comes to Helen Haynes' bill on trying to prevent pork barrelling. Mm-hmm. Essentially, some of the elements to this include having a minister explain to the chamber when they have taken a decision which runs against the advice of their department. Mm-hmm. Again, what's the feedback you've received? Previously, Katie Gallagher, the finance minister, has indicated she was heading in this direction. Mm-hmm. Has the government welcomed your efforts here?
Not yet. One of my frustrations is you see parties in opposition kick and scream about issues, and then they get into government and you don't see them address those issues. So when it comes to grants and the allocation of government money, we're talking billions of dollars, and we've seen all the problems with it. But the government is currently have this bill which basically ensures that there's this catch-all legislation that every grant is legal. What I'm saying is Helen Haynes has been working on a bill, put some guardrails in place, put some clear merits-based processes in, and if the minister deviates from that, decides, well, I'm going to go with this, then they explain it to the parliament.
Doesn't seem too much to ask.
It seemed common sense to me. And yes, the finance minister in opposition had a private senator's bill that dealt with exactly this. I'll be moving both as amendments to the government bill.
So moving
Helen Haynes's bill, which
and
she's...
Katie Gallagher's previous bill.
Yes. So
Well, it's
it
hard
should
to
be a fun...
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. Hard to vote against your own bill.
Well,
Katie
we'll see.
Gallagher.
And I think this is a frustration from Australians, is that we see both sides of politics wanting to have this pot of money to dish out come election time.
Indeed. David Pocock, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kieran. Cheers.